What do you do in your free time? Everyone has some activity that they enjoy doing, and it can be almost anything. Gardening, running, playing video games, watching movies. Any activity that you enjoy and that is relaxing to you is a hobby. Hobbies can be very important because people can put a lot of time and money into them. The first hobby that I discovered was reading. Through reading, I discovered writing, and most recently, I have discovered cooking. So today I will discuss with you how these hobbies have influenced my life. First, I will begin with reading. I've always loved reading, and it has helped me through my childhood into adulthood. When I was little, my parents and grandparents would read to me all the time. And my first memory of reading was in the 3rd grade in Mrs. Ireland's class, where I started reading Harry Potter. And Harry Potter from then on was my favorite book, and it still is my favorite book now. I originally chose Harry Potter because it had so many AR points, and that was important back then, but I fell in love with it. I didn't have a lot of friends in elementary school, and by immersing myself into the world of Harry Potter, all of those characters were my friends. I particularly liked Hermione because she was a nerdy bookworm that didn't have any friends, and she grew into a strong, independent woman. In high school, I would read whatever I could. I really just want to escape the fact that I was in high school. High school is stressful, and you start out as this awkward freshman, and then after that, you have to stress about college. So I used books to escape into another world that wasn't high school, where I didn't have to deal with anything that involved high school. My book of choice was Twilight, and I know what you're thinking. Twilight isn't the best, it's not for everyone, and it has a lot of flaws. But I enjoyed it. It was perfect for my angsty teenage girl mind, and it had vampires, werewolves, and romance. I liked it. Nowadays, I don't get to read as much because I don't have time. I work and go to school, but when I do get to read, I read for relaxation so that I can jump into someone else's world and live their life and forget about my struggles for a little while. So as you can see, I use reading to escape into a different world that isn't mine and to relieve stress. Next, I will talk about writing. I used writing to get out my creative ideas and to release my emotions. I started writing because of reading. I really liked the characters in the stories that were my favorite, and I wanted to continue with those characters. So I started writing fan fiction, and I wrote in these notebooks all throughout high school, all of my different fan fiction. For those of you who don't know, fan fiction is when you take the characters or setting from a story and make it your own story or continue the story. I really liked connecting with those characters more and to see where they went with their lives. It also helped me because that's how I started writing. I can now look back at my fan fiction and see how much I've grown as a writer. In late high school, I started developing my own ideas for books. And my favorite part is creating characters, because each one has their own unique qualities, and then you watch them grow throughout your story, and they really become their own person. I would like to publish a book someday, because I want someone who's struggling to pick up the book that I wrote and have comfort in it, the way I did when I was young and into high school. The other way I use writing is through bullet journaling, and I really enjoy it. I use it to track all of my assignments and basically what I do in the day, and then I write. And it really helps you to release emotions. I would definitely suggest that if you are stressed, to write in a notebook. Just write anything that is stressing you out, and you'll definitely feel better afterwards. So as you know, there are many ways to use writing in your life, but I prefer to use it creatively and to release my emotions. Next, I will talk about cooking. I have most recently discovered cooking, and I did so because my first year of college was at Bowling Green in a dorm, and my main sources of food was the dining hall, eating out, or cooking in a microwave. Dining hall food is boring, and eating out is expensive, so the microwave seemed like the best option, but it didn't leave me with much choices. So I Googled and Pinterest as much as I could to find recipes that I could make in the microwave. I discovered that you can make almost all vegetables in the microwave. You can make noodles, rice, potatoes. It's just proteins that are difficult. I also discovered through my research how to combine spices together so my food wouldn't be bland. After moving back to OUZ in the fall, I live at home and I have a full-size kitchen, so I've been experimenting with different recipes. I get a lot of recipes from Pinterest because all food on Pinterest looks awesome, but I also cook with my grandma who knows a lot of homemade comfort food recipes. I like to change these recipes by adding ingredients, taking ingredients away. I'm really not a recipe person, which is why I don't like baking, and I'm not very good at it. I also really like spending time with people through cooking and giving people my food. So my next goal with cooking is to create a cookbook and combine all three of my hobbies through making recipes, reading the cookbook, and writing the cookbook. I would like to create a cookbook that is either for college students or comfort food recipes but with a modern twist. Most cookbooks, especially older ones, are very boring, basically. They do not have pictures, and they are just recipes with instructions. My cookbook should have recipes, pictures, and I would like to add personal stories to go along with the recipes to make it more interesting. Because I really believe cooking can help you connect with people. You can either cook with them and gain that experience with them, or you can give them food, and food generally makes people happy. And then that makes me happy because I'm making other people happy. So, cooking for me is about my happiness and other people's happiness. In conclusion, I have shown you how my three hobbies, reading, writing, and cooking, have influenced me throughout my life. You have learned that I use reading to escape stress. I use writing to get out my creative ideas and my emotions through writing fiction and journaling. And I use cooking to make people happy. And I know my goals are to publish a book and a cookbook, but if I don't do that anytime soon, I'm still happy with my hobbies. And I really hope that you find a hobby and can find happiness in it like I do, because it really is nice to have that in your life to rely on when you're stressed. And as George Matthew Allen said, a writer, people with many interests live not only the longest, but the happiest.